Hi everyone, welcome to episode 114 of Dimes on Duval, presented by Nerdy Nuts. This is going to be a condensed episode as it is just me recording today, as everything has just been jam-packed for all three of us, and I was just able to get away for a few minutes, got out of my class a little earlier than I expected, so I'm recording this later in the evening than we would, but that's okay. That's okay. Nothing important is going on right now in the sports world, at least in our sports world, that I can't talk about now instead of another day. So without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and keep our normal format here. We'll talk Florida Gators first, right? So bye week, 2-2, playing UCF at home, 7:45 p.m. on SEC Network. UCF's coming off a crushing loss to Colorado this past weekend. Florida is technically favored in this game. But KJ Jefferson, as I believe Mike mentioned last episode, had Florida's number while an Arkansas Razorback. New team, new regime, everything's different for him now. So will he come in to Gainesville and upend the Gators? I say no. I think Florida takes care of business. Colorado has one of the worst offensive lines in all of college football and did not get a single pressure on Shedeur Sanders and really kind of just made the game easy for him. Now, again, I don't watch them every week. I don't watch UCF every week. I could just be talking out of my butt, but from what I saw in that game, because I watched a good bit of that game, pressure was an issue. Yes, Sanders threw an interception. I believe it was like the first drive. Whatever. After that, he kicked it into another gear and just dominated the rest of the game. Jefferson himself actually had 2 interceptions. He had an interception, I believe, on the next drive in the end zone. Lost all momentum there, and Colorado ran away with it starting, early. I think it was the start of the second quarter and beyond. It was Colorado's game. So UCF so far this season, they are 3-1, but they've only played New Hampshire, Sam Houston, and TCU. TCU definitely going to be the best team on their schedule that they played. A 3-2 TCU team with their other loss coming to SMU, where they allowed SMU to put up 66 points on them. I don't believe TCU has a very good defense, just looking at some of these scores. But, hey, who am I? I'm just a guy in Jacksonville, Florida, commenting on the Florida Gators and the UCF Knights. But you can book it now. In my eyes, Florida will win this game. It won't be by much. It'll probably be a really good game. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think Florida just squeaks out, and we get to see another week of Billy Napier as the head coach of the Florida Gators. Switching gears over to the inept team in Tallahassee, the Florida State Seminoles get blown out by the SMU Mustangs, who I mentioned before. Scored 66 in that other game. They scored 42 this week, 42-16 your final score. Oh, man. Another long game, a tough pill to swallow. Going into halftime, I would say the first half I was impressed with. It was 14-9, a nice safety for Florida State, a nice 7-play, 75-yard drive on their first possession. So the Noles march down the field and score a touchdown. You love to see that. But then, you go touchdown, then you go punt, interception, punt, downs, end of half. Not how you want to go into the half. So, you still have the safety right before the end of the half, so I don't really count that. But when you come out of halftime, you're supposed to be amped up, you're supposed to be ready to go, and you go 2 plays, 6 yards, and throw a pick. And that one, I believe, was the one to Kyle Morlock, who let the ball hit him, I think, straight in the face and bounce straight up in the air. They catch it. They go 3 plays, 11 yards, because they were in great field position, and score, and the rest was history. DJ Uiagalelei finishes with 3 interceptions. On that third interception, though, he hurts his finger. and does not come back the rest of the game. Brock Glenn did come in, not really doing anything on the stat sheet. He goes 0 for 4, and didn't even run the ball. So it was kind of moot in that game to see what Brock Glenn can offer us. But we find out yesterday, September 30th, ESPN announces that Uiagalelei has broken his finger on his throwing hand. He hurt it on that interception, and Brock Glenn is officially named the starter against Clemson this Saturday. Norvell said that Uiagalelei's status was going to be evaluated throughout the course of the week, and they'll see where it goes from there. So we have not seen anything. No, we have not seen. I was about to try and justify anything. No, we have not seen anything positive out of DJ U so far this season. He just doesn't look like the guy that I don't think he ever looked like that guy, but he has thrown 4 touchdown passes to 6 interceptions. He's only completing 54% of his passes. His QB rating is 34.4. You got to make a change, and a broken finger is legitimate. You should not be playing or trying to throw a football with a broken finger, but beautiful timing, in my opinion. I still think it's going to be a long game against Clemson. If you look closely at their season so far, they are, they're 15th in the country, 3-1. Their only loss was to Georgia week 1, where they got blown out. They were in it in the first half and then just forgot how to play football in the second half. Really haven't had much competition since then. A bad App State team. NC State and Stanford are their next 3 games. And they're in Tallahassee, so you can use that momentum. New quarterback. You've got home field advantage, so to speak. Florida State should come out and do everything in their power to throw trickery, do anything you can do to kind of throw Clemson out of a rhythm, and that's how you win this ballgame. Do I think they win this ballgame? Absolutely not. No way. But I can dream, right? That SMU game just, it didn't take the wind out of my sails like the Jaguars did the next day, but it was not pretty. So 7 p.m. on ESPN this Saturday versus number 15 Clemson. Then you've got Duke on the road, who's undefeated. Then you've got Miami, who's been fantastic so far this season. Well, I can't call them fantastic. That's just not in my vocabulary for Miami. But they got away with one at Virginia Tech, and I think the next chance for a win may be North Carolina. It's going to be a long, long season for the Noles, as we already know. Just ready for it to end. But hopefully we get to see the young guys come in, make some magic, hopefully impress enough to where they want to stay next season, and we can get a head start for 2025. The winds were taken out of my sails as the Jacksonville Jaguars laid the absolute fattest egg against the Houston Texans, losing 24-20 thanks to a TD pass by C.J. Stroud with 18 seconds left. Just got to gather myself here. 0-4. 3 of those games have been away. Legitimately, you had chances to win 3 out of the 4 games. The Bills game, you had absolutely no shot to win that game. I understand that. The Dolphins game, you should have won. The Cleveland game, you could have won if you took advantage of the opportunities that Cleveland was trying to give us. They practically gave that game to us, and we said, no, it's yours. You can have it. And then the Houston lost this Sunday. So Houston now sits at 3-1 at the top of the division, and we are the only winless team in the National Football League. The defense was a shining spot in this game. I'm trying to start off with positives to make myself feel better. The defense did not give up any points in the second half. 5 straight punts until that last drive. And you know what? I would have probably let them score on that last drive too, because I'm tired. I've been out on the field way too much. Brian Thomas Jr., 6 receptions, 86 yards, and a touchdown. Should have had 2 touchdowns. That guy is going to be electric. He might be the best receiver in Jaguars history when his career ends, if he sticks with us. Tank Bigsby, 90 yards rushing, had that 58-yard beauty of a run that I was so close to getting in the end zone. Only 7 carries. I guess I got to give props to Logan Cook by punting the ball and forcing the muff with a little bit of a spin that maybe he put on the ball that confused the return man. I believe it was Steven Sims. That's it. I don't have anything else positive to say. Okay, Cam Little, the 52-yard field goal. Boom. Okay. Oh, okay. I lied again. So there were some bright spots. And this is someone who we've not talked about yet this season, Ventrell Miller. Ventrell Miller played an excellent game. He was all over the field. He was in the positions that he needed to be in most of the time, I'd say. He led the team in tackles for the day. He had a nice tackle for loss. I was impressed with what Ventrell Miller did in this game. He probably played better than the guys ahead of him have in their careers so far in this one game. I'm just tired, man. And I know the other guys, if they were on here too, they'd say the same thing. I think my biggest issue isn't the play calling, it's the play scheme. I went down a rabbit hole on Twitter today of someone breaking down, it was probably 15 to 20 plays that were just blown up either because of just bad play design or our horrible offensive line. Our offensive line is just so bad. It's so bad. Jason McCourty mentioned several times on the broadcast about, I believe it was him, I don't know if it was Tiki Barber, one of those two, mentioned about the little spin move that Trevor does to elude sacks or pressure. And I've noticed that since he got to Jacksonville. It worked early on because he was spinning away and he was able to run to either sideline. Now when he spins away, there's another guy already there, and it looks stupid. It's like you're just wasting time. I don't have anything against that. But Bill Barnwell literally has a thread of probably 10 plays, and it ends the thread with, does the coaching need to be sharper? Does the game plan need to be more focused? Does the QB have to play better? Do the receivers have to do more? Does the lead running back need to play like an RB1? And does the offensive line need to win more often? Yes, 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 and yes. So number 1, coaching need to be sharper. Absolutely. Doug has no fire. He is a campfire after a night filled with hot dogs and s'mores that has been put out, thrown water on, and just does not give a crap anymore. There's no emotion in that man's body. He doesn't care. And when he's throwing the players under the bus in press conferences, you're losing the locker room. Granted, I wish we had our vets in there, Foye being on IR and Evan Ingram being out the last 3 weeks. Those are our probably unspoken leaders. Them being out doesn't help the locker room situation, but Doug needs to handle those press conferences better. Does the game plan need to be more focused? It does. Last week, we ran too much man-to-man. This week, we ran too much zone against a guy that picks apart zone defenses. Now, granted, there were some adjustments made at halftime, obviously, And the defense worked. You also have to throw in that the Houston had 47 penalties in the second half, and that helped it a lot as well. There was a lot of plays that would have resulted in many yards if it weren't for Laramie Tunsil forgetting how to play the game of football. Does the QB have to play better? Yes. Trevor was not sharp in this game. He had some nice throws, but he missed several. Yes, was he getting hit when he threw a couple of them? Sure. But I still can't stop thinking about that Bills game where he threw the interception to Damar Hamlin. That's a throw I've never seen Trevor make. And I don't like it. So Trevor needs to sharpen things up. They need to get somebody in to chip block or something. Do something to protect him just a little bit longer. And, maybe run some better routes. Stop throwing deep balls to Christian Kirk. Throw them to Brian Thomas, please. Do the receivers have to do more? Yes. I kind of forgot Gabe Davis was even on the field for most of that game. He kind of pulled a Zay Jones from last year, or not last year, 2 years ago. Some games he would just disappear. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot he's out there. Does the lead running back need to play like an RB1? Etienne did get more carries than Tank Bigsby, but Tank Bigsby rushed for 90 yards. Etienne rushed for 50. Granted, Bigsby's largest run, the 58-yard run, is a big chunk of that 90. But Etienne just looks like every time he's running, he looks like he's running into the defender instead of away from the defender. I don't look at Travis Etienne as the bulldozer. If anything, I look at Bigsby more as that guy, but maybe that's because his name is Tank. But Tank runs hard, and Tank gets big chunk yards. Etienne this season really hasn't done a lot for me. And can we just not run Dearness Johnson anymore? That'd be great. I think, oops, I just knocked over my water. Sorry. I think the biggest problem I have, though, is Tank running for 58 yards, and we keep him in the next two plays. Put Etienne or Dearness Johnson in. Put someone in that isn't Tank Bigsby, the guy who's tired for running so far. And then you hand it off to him, and he gets nothing 2 times in a row. Makes no sense. But again, that goes back to, does the game plan need to be more focused, or does the coaching need to be sharper? And lastly, does the offensive line to win more often? Yes. There's no other way to put it. Yes, they stink. So it's exhausting being a Jags fan. That's the easiest way to put it. We all feel the same. People have been asking, oh, you going to the game on Sunday? No, I don't want to go to the game. I don't want to watch this team in person. I know it's against the Colts, who don't have 33 guys on their roster, but I'm good. I'll watch from the comfort of my own home. Hopefully we win this game. If Joe Flacco destroys us, I might cry. I will cry. Literal tears. Please, please, please win the game, Jags. Sabrina Carpenter. That should be the next version of her song. That's all I've got for the Jags, so I can't talk anymore about them. This, again, like I said, this is just a short episode, so let me just throw in a little local happening right now. FSCJ is naming their new mascot. They had a survey, and I learned from Dr. Avendano, the president of FSCJ today, that they had over 2,000 submissions for names. 2,000. They've narrowed it down to 6. Those final 6 are CJ, Finn, Flight, Manny, Razor, Rayzor, and Riptide. Okay, well, Riptide should win because it's unique. That's what mascot name should be. Stuff, Southpaw, Scampy. It still ties into a Ray. Rayzor is kind of corny. Flight doesn't make sense. Manny is too cliched. CJ, I don't like it. I'm sorry. I just think of College of Jacksonville. And fin, Rays don't have fins, so can't really say I appreciate or I would vote for that one. You can vote if you are a student, and I believe they have it on their social medias as well. The voting closes next Friday, October 11th, so get your votes in ASAP if you'd like to participate. And, of course, it would not be an episode of Dimes on Duval without an ad read to end things off. The latest released Nerdy Nuts flavors from this past Sunday at 7 p.m. Lemon meringue pie. Don't know how I feel about that. Gooey butter cake. Ooh. Mudslide. Kitchen sink, which I'll talk about in just a moment. Spiced cookie, which is just Biscoff. Doladay, like a holiday, but Doladay cheesecake. Hopia pie. Never heard of that. And banana mud brownie. Interesting. Kitchen sink is someone I wanted to focus on, though, because that's a very popular one that they've brought back, I think, a couple times now. It is sweet and salty peanut butter, caramel sauce, chocolate chips, butterscotch chips, toffee bits, potato chips, and pretzels. It's perfect. You can dip pretzels in it. You can dip apples in it. You can dip chips in it. You dip whatever you want in it. It is fantastic. I would make a sandwich out of this, to be honest with you. Make it a dessert sandwich. Go online, nerdynuts.com. Every Sunday they drop new flavors. These flavors are all in stock right now, so you are lucky. If you want to order some, use promo code DIMES10 to get 10% off your purchase, and you'll be all set. Please use that promo code and let us know that you used it, and we can give you some cool swag. And we appreciate you supporting the pod by doing that. So without further ado, this is all I've got. 22 minutes probably in this episode. Oh yeah, right on 22 minutes. Thank you for listening to Dimes on Duval, presented by Nerdy Nuts. I am Keith Manzi signing off. Hopefully all three boys will be joining me next episode. We'll catch you next time.